you a woman in medicine feeling overwhelmed and disconnected from the personal fulfillment that you desire? You're in the right place. Join Doctors Joanne and Aaron as they rewrite the rules for women in medicine. Let's begin.
In this episode, I'm so excited to introduce Dr. Leslie Sanchez Goettler, and she is the founder and medical director of Radiance MD, and it is such a unique practice. I can't wait for her to share it with you. And she practices shame-free holistic weight loss for patients, particularly those facing menopause-related challenges. And I've gotten to know Leslie from a Facebook Moms group that she created. And she has brought together so many women in the state of Oregon, in the Northwest. And I'm so excited to, number one, have her meet my good friend and co-host, Joanne, and also to share her with our listener because she is such an amazing role model for women physicians. Welcome to the show, Leslie.
Well, it's a pleasure to be here with you too. Yeah.
Thank you, Leslie. Thank you for being here. And we were talking a little bit before we started recording, and I was thinking, in medicine, things are so linear. We're programmed to work a certain way and what to expect and the longevity of medicine. And I love when we get messages of people doing it differently. And I know you've created something new, different, and so unique. And I would love for you to share with our audience. Tell us a little bit about it.
Yes, happy to. So I was working as part of a larger healthcare system, and I was finding, and it's not a particular one, but I'm finding in all of them right now that physicians are feeling that they're having to kind of rush patients through. And that's what I was feeling as well, that I was getting 10 or 20-minute appointment slots to kind of rush them in and rush them out. And so I decided I really wanted to spend time with patients and connect with them. So I left corporate medicine and I started Radiance MD. And particularly one of the issues, a lot of my patients for weight loss have experienced a lot of trauma or shame or condemnation. And so I wanted to spend this about 45 minutes per month per patient. So I have a 6-month program where I spend 45 minutes every month with them. And it's a very unique appointment. I actually lift weights with all my patients. And so I have what I talk about are kind of 6 pillars for weight loss, which are nutrition, and I make a nutrition plan for them, exercise, so mostly focusing on strength training. And again, I lift with them each time, emotional and spiritual wellness. I don't know if you saw my past, but I have a master's in theology and a master's in philosophy. So kind of the spirit and the mind are important to me. And then sleep is very important. The medication. So a lot of my patients are on weight loss medications, but they don't have to be. And then I also do some other modalities like red light therapy or kind of other things that have been shown to be helpful for weight loss. So, it's a very unique program where I hug all my patients if they're open to that on the way in, on the way out. And I do a weekly hike with them in the summers. So it's very much kind of my life is down in the trenches with them.
Yeah, that is amazing.
Yeah, we're both excited.
Yeah, and I knew a little bit about your practice, Leslie, but I didn't know all of those details. I've been working with my personal trainer, and I keep telling him there's this doctor in Portland, and she has a personal trainer, and she works out with her patients, and it is so amazing. And I was excited to learn more about your practice because, as you said, like, where's the quality time in medicine?
Yes.
And I'm so excited that you created something beautiful and unique out of that. And we talk so much, Joanne and I, about community on this podcast. And you're building community within your patient group too.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
You're part of their community. I love that.
I have different group classes for them as well. And then I have 2 personal trainers who work for me. And so they do group training for them as well. So on the weekends, they'll all come here together where I'm working out of Lifetime Work. So out of a gym setting. And so they can all work out together and they also follow each other on what's called Carb Manager. So it's a nutrition, it's like MyFitnessPal. And so if they want to, they can help each other be accountable to what they're eating each week.
I'm so impressed, and I'm a psychiatrist. I've been a psychiatrist for a long time, and I'm trained very formally, kind of almost old fashioned. And the idea of, very strict boundaries and, the transference and countertransference with the patients, and you have to be this blank slate. So I've always practiced that way. Like, you don't share anything. And I've loved how in the last years, I still keep that boundary with my patients, but I've loved how opening up to new ways to offer medical care, it's so beneficial and holistic. And you said incorporating the spiritual, that touched my heart also. And to know you can keep a boundary and still just right, like, why follow this old-fashioned way to practice medicine and all the
Yes.
things that you can do. And I love that you're kind of upfront saying this is a 6-month program. It's not, there's no easy button here. We're going to do it well. And that you literally follow along with them. I'm like excited, like it's my heart's beating faster just thinking of the future of medicine, and what a beautiful example you are of offering something different, not just for the patients, but for us as the medical community, that we can think outside the box and do something different. I just wanted to say that out loud because it's impressive. Love it. Thank
Oh,
you.
thank you.
And
Thank you.
it also, well, I was going to say, it also goes along with what Dr. Andrea Matsamura talked about in a prior episode. And I know you collaborate with her, and she
Yes.
tries to help people with their sleep. And she doesn't just say, here's a pill to try to fix it. She's like, no, this is a 3 to 6 month process. So that transparency up front to say, if we're going to do this, let's do this the right way
Yes.
and not the old fashioned way, which hasn't been working. And also just honoring
Absolutely.
that trauma piece. So, I worked in child abuse medicine for 10 years. Joanna and I deeply understand the effects of trauma, not just on our patients, but on the women and the physicians and the healthcare providers. Everybody's got trauma exposure. And if you've read the ACEs study, or Adverse Childhood Events study by Dr. Vince Felitti, trauma is so much the background of so many things that happen. And yet we don't always make it safe to talk about it or uncover that. So what a beautiful testimony to you addressing that, knowing that there's likely a direct link to trauma that's getting them stuck with weight. So beautiful.
Absolutely. So many of my patients, I mean, I have many patients that have lost over 100 or even 200 pounds working with me. And so to get to the point where you're that much overweight, there's usually a reason behind it. And it oftentimes, as you both know, it has to do with trauma experience, childhood sexual abuse often.
Mhm.
And so many of the patients have experienced childhood sexual abuse. And so then they put the weight on as a self-protective device. And so I can't just tell them, oh, you need calories in, calories out. There's so many other pieces to the puzzle. And that's one of my favorite things, is trying to figure out what is really going to work long term. And so kind of sitting with them, listening to their stories. I can't just do that in a 10-minute appointment. I need to really be there with them. And one of the other problems that when I was part of the bigger system was that I was booked. I had 100 people on a wait list and booked out for 5 months at a time. So I'd see them once and then again in 5 months later. And that doesn't build a trust relationship. So seeing me every month and knowing that they can contact me is really essential for their success.
Well, you're also building momentum for them.
Yes.
So one visit every 6 months. And actually, this is funny because you were asking how Joanna and I met, and we met at a Brendan Burchard conference, and we were at a virtual training Saturday, I think it was. And I drew a little rocket ship. So he talked about, if you don't have enough fuel to get that rocket ship off, get your thing launched, get your weight loss launched, because you're only seeing your doctor once every 5 to 6 months. You're saying, no, my clients need not only monthly extended visits with me, they also need the community that I've built and to keep the momentum going so they can launch that rocket ship all the way into outer space and get to a different place, instead of 10% of what they need, one visit every 6 months, and then falling back to the ground and saying, oh, what a failure that was.
Yes. And so I have this thing behind me. I don't know if you can see. It's called a STIKU, but it's a 3D optical imaging body scan. And so I do that every month with patients, and that really helps them with what the adjustments that we need to make. So the really important thing with weight loss is that we don't just lose muscle, that we want to lose body fat and gain muscle. And so this tells me, what is your body fat? What is your lean body mass? What are your inches and what are your weight? What's your bone density? So many things. And so when we do that every month, that helps them to know, okay, there's this accountability that we're seeing them, and then helps us to make that adjustment along the way and tweak things. And so they don't just get kind of lost into the abyss there.
For those of you who are watching this on YouTube, does this look familiar, Dr. Leslie?
Yes.
So my personal trainer, I was excited when I heard you work with the STIKU, because the personal trainer I work with does that as well. And I'm part of a challenge. And so he uses a STIKU in the office, and it's been helpful for my husband and I and the people that we work with to have numbers. And then how are you doing with your muscle mass? How are you doing with your fat mass? So I love that you're talking about that. And maybe can you express, because I've known about the STIKU for a year and a half. I would love to hear you from a medical perspective. Tell our listener more about it, because maybe, I don't know, Joanne, if you've heard about them, but I'm fascinating with how they can help people.
Yeah, so it is this 3D optical imaging. It's very similar, with like DEXA, that it will actually tell you your bone density as well. And for perimenopausal and menopausal women, it's so important to know what your bone density, what your lean body mass is. And so it just takes a 30-second scan, and they just step on this and it spins you around for 30 seconds, and then you'll know your results. And then we can compare what it was last month or what it was 6 months ago. And then I will make adjustments based on that. And that's why, so with all my patients, I'm having them strength train 2 to 3 times a week, and it's with me or with my trainers or on their own or with someone else. That's an extremely important part of the puzzle to get them long-term results and sustainable results.
And there are not that many doctors that I know of who are doing this whole system. And as a psychiatrist, I also acknowledge you for paying attention to the mental health piece, because I know that it's something that I see, but then I know that a lot of times the primary care doctors, they might want to, but like you said, they don't have the luxury of time. So I appreciate you with my psychiatry hat on. And we're talking here, of course, about the obesity part, and then also menopause. So that's a unique distinction here. So tell us a little bit more about that. And I know you were sharing that you have a good component of your practice of women physicians. So tell us how you've been able to help some of them as well.
Yeah. So as far as the women physician part of things, as that I founded this group of 1,900 doctor women called Oregon Physician Women's Group. And so it's a group in Oregon and Washington. But so a lot of my patients came from that originally, because I'm kind of now the grandma of the group. And so they come to see me because the women physicians, as you know, have a higher suicide rate than other occupations, and very often are not taking care of ourselves, where we're taking care of everyone else. We're also, if we're moms, we're trying to take care of our patients and take care of our kids and take care of our husbands or partners. And so there's such a huge component that are coming to see me because they're not getting good results, or they're just completely burned out or have moral injury or whatever term you like to use, but are not doing well. And so they're coming to see me and finding that it's a kind of a safe place for them, that they also don't have to be part of the other medical record or anything, but it's a safe place where they can get a hug and work out with me.
I
what
love
was
that.
part of your question there too?
The kind of how the link between taking care of our weight and then menopause. That's
Oh,
something
yes,
that
menopause
you
too.
do that too.
Yeah, so majority of my patients are in the perimenopausal and menopausal women. I think it happens to also be that they're the physician women, but there's such a link as we are getting into these stages of our life where we lose, because of the estrogen decreasing, we lose lean body mass, we don't sleep well, just taking care of everybody else. And so that contributes to the weight gain and also increased abdominal obesity. And so I kind of have a niche where we started this Portland Menopause Collective together to talk about this at conferences. And I talk about the obesity part of things and how to help people who have not even been overweight their whole lives, that all of a sudden are saying, where is this belly coming from? And because it's the fat redistribution that we have when we're menopausal or perimenopausal.
And how did you find that niche, if you don't mind sharing? Because as our listener may know, we've interviewed Leslie's the third of the physicians out of 4 who are putting on this Portland Menopause Collective training and collaborating together. And there's, I think Aoife was the one that said, we're only teaching out of one book and it's missing all of these components about women. So I would love to hear more from you about like expanding upon that. Like, what do we not know, even as physicians, even as women physicians, about this whole cycle of perimenopause and menopause? I know it's hard to pack into just a few minutes, but how can we raise awareness that, hey, there may be something going on. It's not you. It's the stage you are in.
Absolutely, yeah. Well, we oftentimes talk about estrogen decreasing as your perimenopausal or menopausal, but there are also other hormones that are changing, such as leptin, and which is a hormone that makes you feel full, ghrelin, which is a hormone that tells you you're hungry, and GLP-1, so that's the glucagon-like peptide hormone. So all of these hormones are changing as you're getting older, and they are causing you to feel more hungry, to have more cravings. And so these new medications are extremely effective. So those are Wegovy and Zepbound if you're for just weight loss, and if you're diabetic, Mounjaro and Ozempic. They are very effective, but one of the big points I want to get across is they need to be done in a safe way. Because nowadays you can get on and buy a compounded one for $25, and who knows what you're injecting into yourself. The market is taken off with these compounded medications. And so one of the main points I'd like to get across is that if you're going to do these medications, do it under the supervision of a board-certified obesity medicine doctor who is going to order labs, who's going to be checking your body's fat and your lean body mass, and who's going to be seeing you regularly. Don't just get it off the internet and go off on your own, because those are the people who are losing the lean body mass. And then when we stop the medication, then they gain it back.
So powerful. Okay. You alluded to this a little bit, and I wonder, we've talked about community, both in prior episodes, and we've talked about it a little bit here. I think you minimize like your key role in creating this amazing group of women across the state of Oregon and Washington that we call OPWG, Oregon Physician Women's Group. And people talk about it like, oh, everybody just has one of these in their back pocket, but that's not the case. And I just want to, number one, commend you, Leslie, for what gift you have given to women across the Northwest, including myself, because I'm also part of that. And remember when my stepdad had a cancer diagnosis and was at end of life, and I had women from this group, I'm like, I'm a pediatrician. I need help dealing with this. And people that I never met reached out, talked to me on the phone, helped get me through this really trying time. And that's just one example of so many. So thank you for the gift that you've given, almost 2,000 women in our area of the country, and what a role model. And I haven't heard the story. How did it come about that you decided to create this group of women?
Yeah, so I moved from New Mexico. My husband got his PhD and got a job here in Oregon. And we didn't know anybody when we moved here. And so that was, about 13 years ago now. And so I just thought, how can I build a community of women that I can connect with? Because as women physicians, oftentimes we don't really fit in, the stay-home mom group, or in a lot of groups, we're kind of very much an anomaly, and people don't really understand us too well. And so I just started, and there's lots of funny stories about this, where I was working in locums starting when I first got here in different hospitals as a hospitalist. And so everywhere, anytime I'd see a women physician, I'd get them in the elevator and say, oh, I'm going to add you into this group. And I don't even know them. And so there's many funny stories of, one, I was talking to a patient, and he mentioned that his daughter was a doctor. And so I said, oh, call her. And so he gets on the phone. I said, I'm adding you into this group. And so literally, everywhere I'd go, I would just see women physicians and start adding them in. And then I started organizing events. And it literally was 5 years of 20 hours a week that I did for free for this community, because out of a labor of love, because I just really love these women. I mean, I don't know, I just had a heart for women physicians, because I know that, that just the high suicide rate and feeling devalued, not feeling heard, understood, having to balance, it's just not realistic expectations at work. So there's so many things. And I'd say the biggest issue was that not knowing their value. And so that was kind of my mission for the group, to teach women physicians how valuable they are, and be part of a community. So I organized an event 1 to 2 every month for 5 years. And so I'm a good event planner now. And it's just been a wonderful, wonderful group. Even when I had a surgery, when I first got here, I had a major surgery, and 36 of them brought me dinner to my house. One of them was a trauma surgeon all the way down in Salem. She worked a 12-hour shift, then made food for me and drove it all the way up to my house, like 45 minutes away. And there's just countless stories of people that have been helped with cancer, with just getting easy, into consultants, helping the consultants, getting just advice, and just knowing that they're not alone. And hopefully that can help reduce this higher risk of suicide for women physicians.
Leslie, you have shared so many inspiring and amazing areas that you have added to medicine. And I just want to say again how grateful I am that I live in your community and have benefited from that, and can hopefully get the message out, whether you're in our area of the Northwest or for other people who might be in other states or other areas. You can create community. And one of the questions we like to ask all of our guests, because our podcast, Create Meaning in Medicine, is about rewriting the rules for women physicians. And I would love to hear from you. How have you rewritten your rules?
And I would say first to other women physicians, don't be afraid to leave the system. I think that's what I want to say, that it's okay to walk out of the big retirement. I know they talk about kind of the golden handcuffs of some retirement plans, but it's okay to leave that, and it's okay to do cash pay. And that's what I do if you need to. One of the things, I guess, as far as rewriting, what I have done is I've left the system where of what my supervising physician said, treat and turf. That's what she wanted me to do, treat and turf patients. And I left that, and it was scary. It was scary to walk away from a big retirement and start a business. I had no business experience, and had nobody in my life who had any business experience. And I just, flailed a little bit trying to figure out everything related to a business. But now I'm in 1 year into it. I have a full panel. I'm actually looking to hire another physician right now. And just don't be afraid to go do cash pay. That's what I do. And I also give people, I have this whole Nigerian community that I see for pretty much free because I give it to, if somebody really wants help from me, I'm not going to turn them away. But I also do this cash pay where it's a subscription model. And that's really taken a lot of the headache away of trying to fight with insurance companies and having to pay somebody else to do all the billing and the coding and all of that. So they pay me every month for the 6 months. And it's really, I love going to work. I absolutely love seeing my patients. I love spending the time with them. I love getting to know them. And just not having those rigid boundaries. Of course, I always ask permission if I hug somebody, but they love it. They know that they are accepted by me. They know I'm not condemning them. I'm not shaming them. I just see them for who they are, even when they're not where they want to be right now. So yeah, there's possibility of joy again.
I love that possibility of joy again. And this has been so incredible. I'm gonna rephrase some of the things that you've said, and I love we don't have to follow the medical system the way that it's been given to us. It's been the same for how long? Like a century. And for us to have the excitement of saying, I want to do something different, right? And it's not necessarily better or worse. It's just saying, I want to do something different in alignment with what's important to me, and how you've been able to integrate it all together, create the 6 months program. And I love that you said it's nutrition, exercise with the strength part, which we know it's so important, and that you get to do it with them. Oh my God, I'm so excited. I wish I lived closer. I want to come by and visit. It's so amazing.
Yes.
Incorporate, like we've talked in this podcast as well, of sleep, medications, right? Like there's room for that, of course, and other modalities. And going back to what you said, that it's not just about the regularity of the appointments and the time, but then also how you can lean in and listen to their story and have the time and have them build rapport and trust with you. So I mean, I can just see the ripple effect of that great work that you're doing. And then thank you for saying that to us. And like, I might or might not be going through menopause right now. It's like, why am I struggling with this? So thank you for the compassion there too, of the changes that are going. And then that there's hope, all the things that we can do. And like you said, find someone who practices, who understands all these changes, and that this is not just one box to check off and then you're done, that this is multifactorial, and that there's people like you who can look at all the things, and how you've kind of giving us permission. I'm going to say it again. Don't be afraid to leave the system or reframe it within the system, even, right? Like, so not everyone has that ability, but that Erin and I talking here, how even without changing the circumstances, we can reframe our experience with, focusing on different things, or changing the hours that we work, paying attention to different things. And we know that those are all protective for not just burnout, but then also, like you said, depression, anxiety, and just overall fulfillment. So thank you for all the great messages. Is there something that we haven't asked you that you would want our listeners to know?
Well, I think just maybe a story about one of my patients. One of the physician women that I'm thinking about came in, and she was exercising had a personal trainer, and she was exercising 1 to 2 hours a day after she was working full time, and she had her kids, and then she was going to the gym, working 1 to 2 hours a day, working out 1 to 2 hours a day. The trainer had her on this nutrition plan. And after about 6 months, she had become pre-diabetic when she wasn't before. And it's like, how is that physiologically possible that and I believe her, she really was. She was exercising this much and then became pre-diabetic. And it was because she had a lot of different reasons. She had high cortisol levels because she was stressed all the time. She wasn't sleeping because she was exercising so much. She wasn't eating much protein. She was eating too many carbs. You had all these different things that they need somebody to really listen to and figure out what's going on. And this physician is now down 40 pounds and is just incredibly fit, strong, and she's menopausal women. So there is hope. I have many other stories. If you go to my website, you can see before and after pictures of patients who have allowed that to be on there, of course, of a patient that's down 200 pounds, a patient that's down, many of them that are down over 150 pounds. And so it's just life-changing. And when you work on weight, everything else, your sleep gets better, your emotions get better, your sex life gets better, you feel sexy, you want to have a life and communicate and connect with people. So everything changes when people get to that healthy body composition. So it's possible.
Wow, love the hope. And I just visualize the transformation. So thank you for that story and for the hope for the rest of us. And tell us about the Menopause Conference and
yes,
and where can we find you? And we're going to be adding this to the show notes, but I want to hear it from you.
Okay. So March 15th from 8:30 to 12:30, it's going to be at the Sheraton Portland Airport Hotel, and it's going to be 4 of us physicians, myself, Dr. Aoife O'Sullivan, who's a hormone specialist, Dr. Nancy Shipley, who is a ortho and regenerative medicine, and Dr. Andrea Matsumura, who is sleep medicine. And we're going to be having an incredible swag bags and food, breakfast, and a snack. And we're just going to have a lot of fun. So we'd love for people to join us. They can, we can put the link we can send you the link for folks. And also, we would love for people to join us. And it's 1 week until the early bird pricing is over. So get your tickets now.
And I know that I'm taking a group from Salem, taking our road trip up there. I've been telling all my women that I work with at the gym and individuals that I coach. So we're so excited. And please share also where to find you on your website.
Yes. So my website is www.radiancemd.org. And you can follow me on Instagram and on Facebook as well, and LinkedIn. So much I've learned in 1 year. So you can learn a lot in 1 year. Yes, and not only do I see patients in person in Oregon, but I can see people virtually in Washington, Colorado, Idaho, Iowa, and New Mexico. So if you can see me virtually, if you'd like to see me, we can do that as well.
That by itself is an amazing message, and it's part of why Erin and I are here as well for you all. And please connect with all of us and stay tuned. Our next episode is coming up. Thank you.
Do you want exclusive resources and the opportunity to connect with us? Then visit createmeaninginmedicine.com now, where you'll dive deeper into how you can create meaning in medicine. And if you're serious about optimizing your results, take 2 quick steps now. Connect with us on the website and tune in to the next episode.